Nature-based climate-smart innovations use biological principles aiming to offset greenhouse gas emissions from the dairy system by increasing carbon storage. Carbon storage is the process of taking carbon dioxide from the air and locking it into the soil or plants. As carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, it removes the most important contributor of global warming from the air. These innovations involve carefully managed grazing, a reduced reliance on artificial or chemical fertiliser, and an increase in the usage of legumes, herbs, grasses, hedges, and trees. One practice is the inclusion of trees in grazing fields in the so-called silvopasture system. Trees taking carbon dioxide from the air, which eventually gets locked in as a carbon within the soil. Trees also provide shelter and improve biodiversity. Dairy cattle sometimes snack on the leaves. To understand the significance, you have to know that cattle produce methane as part of their digestion process, and methane is a powerful greenhouse gas. In some cases, the leaves that cattle eat from trees can have compounds that reduce this production of methane emissions of the cows themselves.
There is some research that suggests that they could reduce methane emissions by 20 to 30% as well, because of the high tannin levels in the rumen of the animals. So that's really good news that we've planted something that could have a reduction in emissions on farm as well.
Farmers often try to increase the time cattle spend outdoors grazing. Another practice is called herbal leys, or multi-species pastures. In this practice, cattle graze not just on grasses, but on a mixture of grasses, herbs and legumes, like chicory, plantain and clovers. These herbal leys incorporate many different plant species that have different rooting systems, deeper or denser than normal grasses. The use of multiple plant species also promotes biodiversity and improves other soil health characteristics like porosity and fertility. Mob grazing has been implemented with similar purposes. Mob grazing means that cattle are moved to a new field on a regular basis. This allows the pasture to recover between grazing periods, and as a result, the pasture species develop a greater biomass above ground, but also in the root system below ground.
Managing it like this to produce a lot more grass, because we're grazing it, we're allowing it to recover. We actually strengthen the pasture year on year. The more grass we're growing, the more carbon we're absorbing from the atmosphere. The more of that we're doing, the more we're sequestering, the more we're improving soil fertility, and it's all in a cycle. So
a last component of improved soil management is the use of cover crops during the winter period on arable fields. By using cover crops, using species such as mustards, vetch, clovers, oats, ryegrass, or a mixture of all of them together, one can protect the soil from rain and wind, thereby preventing soil erosion. Cover crops also improve soil structure and add to soil fertility by incorporating additional biomass to the system. These types of farmers often reduce chemical or artificial fertilisers and will use organic alternatives like farmyard manure or additional uses of legumes instead. Cows sometimes eat feed instead of grass. This happens in grass-based systems when there are no grasses available to graze on, like during a summer drought or when it is too cold like in the winter. Soya is commonly used in animal feed as it provides the necessary proteins. But as it is coming from overseas and sometimes from deforested areas, the carbon footprint can be substantial. Farms in this category may opt not to use soya in the cow's feed. Cattle are able to obtain sufficient protein coming from the diverse pastures or from alternative feed sources. In addition, farmers can accept a lower milk production, so fewer proteins are needed to start with.